Hey folks, Twisha Christian here. Just want to kind of give you guys an update on the stock list that I put out. And I know that this channel we talk about the NAR sometimes and some of the other prophetic stocks, but one of the things that I've learned that in order to get involved in any stock, you're gonna have to learn how to trade and do all that and learn how to do the research and things like that. So I took the time out, and it took me some days to put together, and I researched about 300 different stocks. I narrowed it down to about 92, and I put it together, and it was based off of what was being said on social media, what was the regular news saying, what did the numbers look like, as far as the company growth, any pending news coming. All I looked at many different factors, and out of those 92, like 86 gained 50% all the way up to over 5,000%. And of course, you only win if you sell at that high point. So there are many stocks, and I'm going to show you guys. For those of you who are on the Patreon, I did put that out on the day on the 18th. And that was the weekend I believe that was the weekend of a trading day, like a Friday or a Saturday or something. So you guys got a first chance or first glance look at it. And I did post that video on the 21st, which was that, I believe it was that trading day. So for those of you who did take a look at that, you did look at the list, you did take advantage of it. Some of you may have made a lot of money. But we're going to go ahead and go over some of those stocks. And, right now I do have an alert on HPNN. That's Hop On. So, but before we get into all these stocks, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an expert or anything like that. I'm showing you my research, and there are people who want to take part in that research. It's up to you. I can't tell you to invest. I can't tell you to buy, but if you are going to, I'm basically just I'm just telling you what I am going to do. And so I'm going to go ahead and start talking about some of these stocks that I've gotten into. And the last two alerts, we did HCMC and we did HPNN. And so those are the ones that so those are ones that I think that have potential value in the short term, and then maybe even a couple of these, maybe even on the longer term. So, and they're very cheap right now. We're looking at less than a penny a stock. And so there's a lot of talk on social media, and I feel comfortable enough that that I can put enough money into some of these. And some of these stocks are about to be short squeezed, so to speak, unless they cover and get out of the stock. But these companies I do like. And, folks, this list I put out well before Wall Street Bets was making the news on GameStop and all that. And, and apparently one of these stocks, KOSS, KOSS, KOSS Corporation, I sold off too early. I sold off way too early. And this sucker went from $2.89, and it skyrocketed at a high of $127 a share. And that particular stock, if you looked at it and you researched it and you decide to go ahead and invest in it, and then maybe you would have gotten into it. But there's no way to tell, especially when you have this many, and trying to narrow it down is even harder because it could be any. And when I'm learning, it could be any of these stocks, just from watching them go up and down. And so there's a lot of stocks, and you could just go through. You can look like all these penny stocks, and now they reached a high of $5, $3.96, whatever the case, you can see that. And then I have some of the ones that I'm invested in with the OTC stocks. Some of these I did invest in, like KOSS and ZOM, but I sold off too early because I thought the stock was going to go back down. And so I did get a lot of OTC stocks that were under a penny, and some of these have reached their highs above that point, like MINE, Minerco Inc. When I put out that alert, 0.001, I got in, and it did reach a high of 0.025. It's currently sitting at around 0.012. So there was a drastic increase, right? So I'm just holding a little bit longer, and I'm going to see, because there's a lot of talk of people buying into it. So we'll see how far that stock will actually push through. And the ones that I have here marked in orange are basically just ones that at the time of the alert, and the stock is actually cheaper than at the time that I gave the alert. So those will be ones that I'll be watching. And also the ones here I have in yellow are ones that kind of stayed pretty much even. They haven't shot up yet or taken off. They could have by now. So you see here, JTLL, 0.002 cents. Its high went up to 3.5 cents. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And at some point, there's always an exit point. When you guys look at this list, you can see at the time that I gave the alert, you can see its current price, and you can see the high that it went to since the 18th. Now, keep in mind, some of these highs came at the end of January, and some of them have come in February. Anytime that you invest in these short-term, some of these that might be short-term stocks, if let's say you do buy 100,000 shares at 0.005 cents, where do you want to sell it at? And that's what I look at. If I set my sell limit, say at 50 cents, and one day it just happens to shoot up and it hits that point and then it goes back down. And every stock is different. And I do, in some of these stocks that I'm invested in, these smaller penny stocks, I go a little bit further before I make the decision as far as actually getting into some of them. And I think that they're decent companies. They've just been pulled down, like Zion Oil and Gas and a few others, by the hedge funds, keeping and maintaining the price control. So, but there are some good companies that have exploded. One I did invest in. It was at 3 cents a share. It skyrocketed to 5 cents, and now it's the price is around 33 cents or so. So there are many different opportunities, but just finding and choosing the right one. I could try to narrow this list down to 10, and then put it out there. But the thing about it is, you just never know sometimes which one of these penny stocks or some of these OTC stocks are going to actually take off, because you could have a stock that hasn't had any movement, and the next thing you know, some investor decides to come along and they want to invest in the company, and then the stock takes off. So there's a lot of research involved in a lot of these. And with the stock market going up and down the way that it is, you're going to see individual stocks go up and down. And some of these, especially over here, the NASDAQ and the NYSE, when I do look for the stock market to drop, and you see the price of these now, I believe a lot of these over here are going to be super, super cheap. And so that's why, as far as those, we're watching. I'm watching all of those stocks. The way I look at it, the Dow being at 20,000, and that means there's going to be a lot of losses in the stock market, and I want to make sure that that I'm building up now, in anticipating that point, and as well as purchasing more dinar and so forth. But I want to put myself in the positions of some pretty decent companies, because I can invest in gold. There's a lot of people investing in gold, and if that's your thing, that's fine, having a little bit of gold. But Kim Clement said don't rely too much on gold. There's a lot of things that I've studied, and I think when we go to this whole new system, it's not going to be something that's going to take years to implement. But gold, think about it, folks. If some of you who have bought any amount of gold, say just like in the last 30 or 40 days, and look at the return that you got. And for me, it's all about, yes, everything is a risk, but I think that if I'm going to spend $1,800 or $1,000 on gold, and then maybe hope for that if I buy an ounce of gold, that it will go up 3 or 4 times. And yes, I do believe that there will come a time that gold is going to go up. But let me tell you something, folks. Just like they shut down the trading apps, and they shut down trading and stuff like that, what do you think is going to happen when gold skyrockets and you go to try to change it, try to exchange your physical gold? Because a buyer does not have to buy if he doesn't want to, and I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. If the price of gold was to go from here to 8,000, right? Do you think that when you go to the pawn shop or any kind of gold dealer, that they're going to actually pay you that amount of money for that gold, knowing that it could go back down? They're not going to do it, folks. A lot of them are not going to do it. So depending on how you actually have your gold or how you trade gold online is going to be very important. You might not have a lot of buyers at the 8,000 mark. You might have some at the 6, at the 7. So I'm just saying, just be careful when it comes to gold, because whatever peak it's going to hit, it's not going to stay there, because we need gold for many, many other things. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. If we need gold to barter, this world is going to be in a hellhole. And you're going to be living like Mad Max. And gold is not going to make a difference. That's just my opinion. Gold may have worked in other worldwide catastrophes, but the things that I believe that are coming, gold, it's going to be of no value when things are tribulation bad. You understand what I'm saying? So, but that's just my opinion. We use gold for manufacturing. We use gold in many different things. And in order for companies to make any money off electronics or all the things that gold and silver get into, I just don't think that it would sustain record highs, gold or silver. There's nothing wrong with holding a little bit of gold or silver, and almost everybody probably should. But right now, I think I'd rather take my chances, putting $1,800 into the stock market, trying to manage it in a way that I could benefit, in short-term investments. So I probably will make adjustments to this list as time goes on, and we'll be watching. I'll be watching this. If there's any stock alerts, of course, I will put it on Patreon first, and then I also put it to my watch group too as well. And I will say this, that when you're going to buy OTC stocks, okay, in my opinion, Charles Schwab is the best. And that's because you don't have any OTC fees, right, per trade. TD Ameritrade, every time you buy and every time you sell, you're paying $6.95. If you're using E-Trade, you're paying $4.95 every time you buy and every time you sell. And especially when you're dealing with stocks that are $1 or less, or even penny stocks that are 1 or 2 cents, that charge is actually a lot of additional stocks. So a lot of people talk about Fidelity. You cannot trade XLPI on Fidelity, and there might be a few other stocks that you might not be able to that you can on Charles Schwab. So that's the most important thing. Now, I will say this. I have multiple trading accounts, and I haven't got used to Charles Schwab yet. A lot of times I'm using that to trade, but I'm actually in some of my other accounts looking, because the way that the information is presented, and sometimes, and I haven't got fully used to Charles Schwab and using it in that way. I don't like their app too much so far. Maybe I just need to make some adjustments. But eventually I will get used to it. But I'd rather pay nothing, and I'd rather just sit and just learn the new interface and pay nothing per trade, as opposed to already know how to use everything but pay per trade. You guys we're losing a lot, so. You are trading Zion Oil, I would recommend Zion Oil or any other over-the-counter stocks that you go ahead and get a Charles Schwab account, and it's going to be much easier for you and cheaper for you to buy stocks. And like I said, we don't really know, like I said, with all these stocks, I don't know when any of these are going to pop. I am I know more about the ones that I'm invested in than in some of the others. But once those investments have gone through, I can go back and I can go back and do more research and add new stocks. And that's what I plan on doing to a certain point of time in my life because I don't want to do this forever. And we're all having to pay attention to the markets every single day. There's no way that I want to do that forever. I do want to make money and at least invest and my long-term investments are really good investments that are going to pay really a lot in the long run. And one last thing I do want to bring up, folks, and it's very important in how you're trading and when you're buying any of these stocks. And like Zion Oil and a few other stocks, they are really under attack by the short interest, right? And they're really attacked by these hedge funds that are maintaining the price and trading back and forth between each other. So that's why it's important to do the research to try to get your pricing point where you want to get in at and where you want to get out. And you can't worry about if the stock goes down below what you purchased. There's a lot of emotions involved in stock trading, and I see it every day, and they get left holding the bag. SNDL, that's a perfect example. A lot of people got in at 71 cents. It shot up to 396, and then it came all the way back down to the current price of $2.08. Well, guess what? If most people would have sold off when it was starting to reach over that $3 mark, you know that it was going to come back down because guess what people do? They are taking profits. That's why a lot of people tell you to buy and hold when they're actually selling, especially on social media. They want to make sure that you get left holding the bag and they don't. So, of course, there are some stocks that are buy and hold, and a lot of them I do have right now. And it's just a matter of time before one of my investments on any one of my trading platforms actually take off. So, folks, I hope that some of you who did catch some of these alerts, you guys did benefit from that. You guys can go down to the link below down in the description, and you can check out some of those stocks. Always do your own research. Keep watch of these NYSE and NASDAQ stocks. And they're starting off. They've already been reaching some of their highs, so I'm actually waiting for a lot of those to maybe come back down, right? Any of these stocks that I see that are currently that were under $1, that are currently $2 and above now, then I'm definitely going to be watching those stocks. That if they happen to come down, especially in the stock market slide, I definitely want to be able to pick up some of those stocks.